take odd jobs because they don't come with meetings. No onboarding videos, no circling back. You get a text, you get an address, you do a thing, and you get paid. Most of the time, it's normal stuff, moving a couch or hauling trash. I don't ask why, because the less you know, the less you carry. The only rule I keep for myself is simple. If it feels wrong, I leave. I broke that rule on February 14th because rent doesn't care about gut feelings. The text came in at noon. Unknown number. Need a courier. 1 package. $300 cash. For a delivery, $300 is either a scam or a death sentence. But my bank account was a desert, and my landlord didn't do understanding. I typed back, yes. The address popped in immediately. Horizon Arms Apartments. Unit 12C. Top floor. The instructions were clinical. Leave package at door. Knock 3 times. Wait 10 seconds. Leave. Do not open package. Do not enter unit. Payment was already waiting under the lobby mailboxes. Horizon Arms was a ghost. A tall, ugly brown brick complex from the 70s, closed for years after a fire. It was a monument to urban decay. When I asked how to get in, the reply was instant. Side door. West alley. Code 0314. Use stairs. Elevator disabled. I called my friend Nolan. He told me it was a setup. I told him it was $300. He told me if I ended up on the news, he'd be mad at me in the afterlife. I laughed, but my hands were shaking as I put on my work gloves. When I arrived, the building looked worse in person. It wasn't just abandoned. It was ignored. The air was cold enough to sting. I found the side door, keyed in 0314, and the light turned green. The silence inside was heavy. Buildings usually groan or drip. This one was dead. I checked the lobby first. The mailboxes were pried open like silver ribs. Underneath, I found the envelope. $300 in crisp, clean bills. No joke. No scam. My stomach loosened, which was my first mistake. I had the money. Now I just had to do the work. 12 flights of stairs are a long time to think. By the 6th floor, I saw scratch marks on the metal doors. Deep grooves, like something hard had been raked across them. By the 9th floor, I heard it. Faint, rhythmic humming. A low tone, rising and falling. I stopped. The humming stopped. I reached the 12th floor, lungs burning. The air up there smelled like wet metal. I found Unit 12C. The door was strangely clean, sealed with masking tape at the bottom. I set the box down. My heart was thumping in my jaw. I knocked 3 times. 1, 2, 3. At 5 seconds, a sound tore through the hall. Pig squealing. High, wet, and panicked. Cut off abruptly. I looked down the dark hallway. At the far end, a figure stepped into the weak red glow of an exit sign. It was shaped like a man, but the head was wrong. Pig mask. Realistic pink rubber. Black glossy eye holes. He didn't rush. He just started walking toward me, humming that same soft, domestic tune. "Hey!" I yelled. "Wrong floor, man." He didn't stop. I turned to sprint for the stairs, but the hallway felt longer now. My foot hit something low, a wire. The world yanked sideways. I slammed into the floor, and a white-hot explosion of pain ripped through my left leg. Barbed wire. A trip line anchored handle to handle. I was caught. Blood soaked through my jeans instantly. The humming was getting closer. The pig-masked man was 20 feet away, tilting his head as he watched me struggle. I didn't think. I grabbed the wire with my gloved hands and yanked with every ounce of adrenaline I had. The wire snapped free, tearing my leg once more as it went slack. I screamed, but I was free. I crawled, dragging my useless leg behind me, blood trailing on the dirty carpet like a macabre map. I reached the stairwell door and shoved. It didn't move. Someone had jammed a wad of frayed carpet under the frame. I grabbed a piece of broken pipe from the floor and pried like my life depended on it, because it did. The carpet tore. The door gave. As I tumbled into the stairwell, I looked back one last time. The man wasn't chasing me. He stood perfectly still in the dim light. He held up a sign. White poster board. Neat, black letters. "Be my Valentine." In the corner was a small, hand-drawn red heart. He waved a pale, normal hand as the door latched shut. I sat on the landing, gasping, watching my blood pool on the concrete. I got my $300, but I think I left something much more valuable behind in Unit 12C. The $300 sat on my kitchen table, but I couldn't touch it. My leg was wrapped in makeshift bandages, the throbbing matching the rhythm of the dripping faucet. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard that humming. Not from the hallway, but from inside my own head. I tried to tell myself it was over, that a crazy squatter had just played a sick game, but then my phone buzzed. It was 3 a.m., no caller ID, just a video file. I opened it, my heart hammering against my ribs. It was a shaky, first-person view of me, not from the hallway of Horizon Arms, but from outside my own apartment window. The camera lingered on my front door lock for a full minute before the screen went black. I realized then that the $300 wasn't a payment for a delivery. It was a down payment on my life. I crawled to the door, checking the deadbolt, only to find a small, pink rubber ear sitting on my welcome mat. I couldn't sleep, so I started digging into the history of 1497 Kittredge Avenue. The fire the news mentioned back in the 70s wasn't an accident. I found archived forum posts from former tenants who spoke of a social experiment funded by a shell company called Horizon Initiative. They weren't just renting apartments. They were mapping behavior. Tenants reported hearing music through the vents. Specifically, nursery rhymes hummed by a voice that sounded like a mechanical pig. One specific entry chilled me to the bone. A maintenance man claimed the 12th floor didn't exist on the original blueprints. It was added later, built without windows, accessible only to those who knew the code. I looked at my phone. 0314, March 14th. Pi Day. Or, as the archive suggested, the date of the first harvest at Horizon Arms. I called Nolan the next morning, needing a voice of reason, but it went straight to voicemail. That wasn't like him. I drove to his place, my injured leg screaming every time I hit the brake. His front door was wide open. No signs of a struggle, just a weird, cloying smell in the air. The same sweet, artificial air freshener sent from the Horizon Arms hallway. On his kitchen counter sat a shoe box-sized cardboard box, identical to the one I had delivered to 12C. I didn't want to open it. I remembered the rule: do not open package. But Nolan was gone. I peeled back the tape with shaking hands. Inside wasn't a bomb or a threat. It was a single vintage Polaroid of me sitting in my car at the gas station, buying that bottle of water and gum. On the back, written in neat black marker: he didn't follow the rules. You did. Thank you. The phone buzzed again while I was standing in Nolan's kitchen. Nolan is safe. For now. He is in Unit 12B. He is humming your favorite song. Come hear him. The $300 was suddenly a weight in my pocket, burning like hot coal. I knew it was a trap. I knew that if I went back, I might never come out. But the guilt of involving Nolan was worse than the fear of the pig mask. I grabbed a heavy mag light and a crowbar from Nolan's garage. I didn't care about odd jobs anymore. This was a rescue. As I drove back to Kittredge Avenue, the sun started to set, casting long, bloody shadows across the pavement. The building looked different tonight, taller, hungrier. The side door was propped open with a single pink high-heeled shoe. Entering the building a second time felt like walking into a mouth. The lobby was darker than before, the air thick with dust that tasted like copper. I headed for the mailboxes, thinking maybe there was another message, but the entire wall of metal lockers had been torn out, leaving a gaping hole in the brick. From inside that hole came a sound, a soft, wet clicking. I shone my light into the darkness. There were hundreds of masks hanging from the inner pipes. Not just pig masks, wolves, goats, birds, all made of that same sickeningly realistic rubber. And in the center of them all was Nolan's cell phone, hanging from a meat hook, the screen glowing with a new text message. Look up! The elevator disabled sign was gone. Instead, the heavy gold doors of the lift were standing wide open, the interior bathed in a warm, inviting yellow light. There were no buttons inside the car, just a single large red heart painted on the back wall. I stepped in, My crowbar gripped so tight my knuckles turned white. The doors hissed shut without me touching anything. The elevator didn't go up. It went down, deep down. The floor indicator didn't show numbers. It showed dates. 1974, 1988, 2005, 2026. When the doors finally opened, I wasn't in a basement. I was in a replica of my own apartment, perfectly recreated in the bowels of the building. My couch, my TV, my refrigerator clicking on and off. But on my kitchen table sat a dinner for two, and a man in a pig mask was waiting for me, holding a carving knife. He didn't attack. He pointed to the chair across from him. "Sit," he hummed. The voice was distorted, vibrating through the rubber of the mask. I stood my ground, crowbar raised. "Where is Nolan?" The man tilted his head and pulled a small remote from his pocket. He pressed a button, and the wall behind him, the one that should have led to my bedroom, flicked on like a giant television screen. It was a live feed of Unit 12B. Nolan was there, tied to a chair, a pig mask forced onto his head. He was humming. He couldn't stop. It was a neurological override the experiment from the 70s perfected. "He's learning the tune," the man said. "Soon, he'll be ready to deliver the next package. Unless you take his place."